We can have the best versions of ourselves now without ever leaving the couch.
It's true.
Just need my voice. That's all.
Yeah, and they don't even need that.
No, that's
AI,
true.
that shit too.
That's true.
All right. Well, another downer. Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Nerd Enthusiast Movie Podcast. I am Dane. I'm going to be one of your hosts today, joined by my good buddy.
Hi, Michael.
There he is.
Good to see everybody. I'm back.
Yes. Apparently, for those of you that were bitching that Mike wasn't doing anything, just nobody. Mike was recovering from the COVID.
I was down with the sickness.
Yes. I trust that everybody is fine. I haven't really asked that question, I guess, since I thought
we're all still alive. We survived.
Right,
it wasn't fun for 2 weeks, but we're here. We made it. And I'm back.
Excellent.
And I'm ready to talk about movies. Always ready.
All right, so we are reviewing Thor Love and Thunder, which I guess we won't review things really other than to say whether or not we like or don't like them. But I saw it the opening weekend, and then Mike, because of the COVID, saw it a little bit later. You've seen it more recently, yeah. First of all, we're going to spoil the shit out of the movie. Spoilers. As well. So
that's our trademark. That's what we do.
Right, I know. It's impossible really to talk about these movies without talking about the important things in them. So we're just going to give that up. Thank you for the note there. Remember to follow us, please, everyone. We need followers, disciples, as some might say, to all of our social medias, please. Things like Twitter and Instagram. Please go to nerdenthusiast.com because we always have people posting different stuff. There's always something coming up, so it's important to kind of check it out. We have one more thing, to a very special shout out to Juan, who is one of our Patreon members. Thank you very much for being a Patreon. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/nerdenthusiast. That's an important one. But okay, yeah. So let's get into the movie here. So this is the fourth Thor we have. Okay, Thor is still finding himself after 4 movies, which I've heard people say, and it's very true.
Absolutely, in this film, especially, how he hasn't found himself yet is a mystery to me.
Right.
But here we are.
Yes. Well, he found love again. He found love. Spoiler at the end of the movie.
He found love, lost love, found love, and lost love again. Right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, I think so. Lost and yes. Directed by the obviously really talented Taika Waititi, which the first time I saw any Taika thing was What We Do in the Shadows. Is that the first time you had probably seen him too, right?
Yeah, I think
the movie is what I'm talking about, because there's a show.
Yeah, I feel like I saw yes, I saw the movie, and I feel like Jojo Rabbit was like the first thing I was like that made me pay attention to him. I was like,
really?
Yeah, because I heard of him, and it wasn't that I disliked What We Do in the Shadows. It was just like, I don't know, it was just odd to me. But Jojo Rabbit was the first time I was like, wow, this guy is really, really freaking talented. And then of course The Last Door. But yeah, Taika, he's one of a kind.
Yes, he is.
One of a kind. Especially that he puts himself in these movies, which is fun. But I'll tell you what, this one was a bit of a miss for me. I felt like, I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
It felt like a little bit of a miss for me.
A lot of it.
Maybe we'll disagree for once on a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
I think so. I enjoyed a lot of the movie.
I did too. I liked it's not that I didn't have fun with it. I just felt like there was something missing from a lot of it, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it requires me to have another viewing. Um, but I think what was weird to me, I think one of the big problems I had, and this is probably just personal preference, but the Guardian stuff in the beginning is so like throwaway. Like
Mm.
it's done so quickly, and like Peter Quill looks like shit. Like
He did
Chris
look like
Pratt,
shit, didn't
Chris
he?
Pratt looks horrible in this movie, and
Right.
I'm
That
guessing it's
must have
because
been done on purpose.
he must be because he's depressed about Gamora or whatever. Like he looked
Right.
horrible. I remember Jackie, my wife, and I were watching the film. We turned to each other while we were watching. Like, what's wrong with Chris Pratt? He looks like he's on like a bender or something. Like he's real thin and like he's scraggly and like
Right.
didn't look like Peter Quill, Star Lord, and also that like threw me off right from the beginning. I was like, why do the Guardians are like they just are all that was weird. I love the battle sequence. You know how
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
that
cool.
whole
That
thing was
was cool.
hilarious. You know how
Hmm.
uh, they're so
The
used to
Van
it,
the Van
and he's
Damme of
like,
it all. I like that.
yes, yes, I love all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved um, I love the arc with Jane Foster. I like that they did something with Jane Foster finally
Hmm.
because I kind of felt like she's just there for most of the movies. You know, she doesn't really do much in the other Thors. I mean, she's just sort of
Right.
the smart girl that he has to rescue a lot. Oh my God, he's so handsome and great. And then this movie, they gave her a lot more to chew on, and I think it's a good arc for her because I just felt like the character's stale, you know. And when they
Right.
got rid of her, it was kind of like, okay, she's go, you know, when she didn't show up in any other film, like, okay, she's gone, whatever. And then she, obviously comes back for good reason in this film, and I think uh, it's a good spoiler send off for her in a way. So
What spoiler is it?
spoiler is it?
Okay,
I think
spoiler everywhere.
she's not Lady Thor. She's Mighty Thor. So
Right.
yeah, it's just there's something weird about the film. I love Christian Bale as
Hmm.
Gore. I love him, you know, and
Yeah, yeah, he was good.
I remember reading that he didn't even want to do any more Marvel movies or any more superhero movies because he kind of felt like they were a waste of time and unfulfilling. So he must have really
Hmm.
liked something about this character. I
Yeah,
kind
I
of wish
bet
we
you.
saw more of him because
It was.
like he's there, we get his backstory, and then like he disappears for long stretches, and then he's back,
Hmm.
takes some kids, terrorizes them, then he's gone for a while, and then we have the big face off. So like there's only
Right.
really like two battles with him in this film, which I kind of wish you got to see a little bit more of him. But he's
Well,
a great character. He's a great
yeah, the
character.
fight with him and all three of them, all four of them fighting in the Shadow Realm was
Yeah,
very
that was
cool.
cool. That was some amazing cinematography, VFX
Yeah.
work. Felt like a video game. Felt like a really cool video game,
Hmm.
God of War
So,
style.
yeah, God of War, very God of War.
It was. That's what it felt like. But yeah, I don't
Oh,
know what it was. It was like I really enjoyed a lot of it, and then I just kind of left going, I don't know. It's not maybe because it felt like I think it's because I liked Ragnarok more, and I
hmm.
felt like Ragnarok was so new and different for Thor, and I think this is still a little bit of a continuation of that Thor that I was kind of like, I almost want something different for him now. Um, but it's not. I don't think it's as funny as Ragnarok for me. Ragnarok just was so new for this
Right, right.
character. This is still, like I say, a continuation of that same the comedic Thor, if you will. You
Well,
know, the
so I
goofy
was
Thor.
really, yeah, yeah, I was annoyed with it actually in the first probably three or four scenes. By the time he was riding Stormbreaker into battle.
Oh yes, yes,
I
yes.
mean, I'm watching it going like if the whole thing is this goofy, we have a problem.
It's this cartoony, yeah.
Fortunately, yeah, fortunately they they kind of flattened out the goofiness.
They do, yeah.
A couple of the first few scenes in the movie. I guess after the gratuitous battle, you know what I mean, just to get all of that kind of stuff out of the
Mhm,
way, and then they start
mhm.
talking about the movie, or rather than they get into the movie, which I like. Right
Right.
after that is where it cuts to her in an MRI or CAT scan.
Yeah, it starts to get really serious really quickly.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and
then
that's what
right, okay, then they reference a movie and then they do the exact same thing in the movie as they did. They did the same paper thing. Like
Yes.
they ripped off, they basically name checked the movie that they were going to rip off by showing you exactly the same thing.
Correct.
Mm.
The yeah, the was it the screaming sheep or whatever?
Hmm.
Is
Yeah,
that what
yeah,
they
yeah.
were screaming sheep? When that was
They're
happening, I was like,
screaming
oh boy.
goats, goats, goats,
Screaming
goats,
goats. I
goats.
was like, Jesus,
Yes,
are we gonna
goats.
have to deal with this the whole movie? I was like,
Yes,
oh,
no,
it's like
I
it's like
was
that
so taken.
annoying air horn that you have to hear. I was like, oh, we're gonna have
Hmm.
to hear this entire movie. Oh my god.
I
And
disagree
thankfully
with you every
it
time.
was spared. It was used sparingly. Every time you loved it, you like the
Every
obnoxiousness
time
of
I loved it. By the end of the movie, the last time it happened, it was just as funny as the other times. I really, I don't know what it was. I just thought it was really, really
it's just like somebody jamming the air horn button over and over. It's like more of that, more of that.
Gosh,
The whole
made me laugh.
Zeus, the whole Zeus scene
Hmm.
was hilarious though. I enjoyed that a lot. You flick too
Yeah.
hard. That's what you flick too hard. And all the girls going, oh,
Right.
and then getting upset when they put clothes back on him. Like, oh,
I like the tattoo on his back, the big, big, big tattoo for Loki, and I guess other
yes.
people.
All the
As it turns
people,
out.
all the people that have died, he has their name
Right, right.
tattooed. All the people I guess he likes that have died, he has their names tattooed. Chris Hemsworth
Um,
is like jacked in most of this movie. Holy cow!
yeah, well, he's gonna
He's like a
play.
house. He's a
He is.
house.
He's gonna play the
He's like
Hulk.
he's so broad. Like in some scenes, like his body is so broad. It's like where do they even find clothing to fit this guy? Like how does he even get into some of these costumes? He's so freaking broad. I guess that's why his arms are always free. So he
Hmm.
would just rip through every shirt he wears
It's true.
and play the Hulk.
Plus, if
Yeah.
you had arms gigantic like that,
Oh my gosh.
I would just
His
rip
arms
out.
are bigger than my legs.
It's
His
true.
arms,
Holy shit.
maybe my head too. His arms might be bigger than our heads. What do you think of Natalie Portman as Mighty Thor?
That was really good, actually. I'm really glad what they did with her. As far as one of the things I liked that they didn't do was they just made her Thor. Like there was no kind of like clunky tripping over herself. Um, uh, not knowing anything about being Thor. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Other than it's her first bad guy, but
Right.
like
So
she was
always remember
capable.
first.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But I mean, she was very capable, which is what I
No, and
liked
that was
about it.
cool.
So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She didn't seem inferior, so to speak, compared to, at least physically, compared to him, which of course is the point.
No.
Um, so yeah, that was really good. I'm convinced that they CGI'd her arms, at least made them bigger,
I
because
I thought that too because I was
I've
like, man,
seen Natalie Portman. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. You can't. She is an absolute
I don't
stick of a person.
know. I don't know. She
Absolute
put
stick.
on 30 pounds of muscle for this, right?
That's what it
I
says
love
in
that.
the. That's what it says in the interview, in on the internet, in the press
Of course
releases.
she did.
Okay.
But if you look at her IMDb photos, it seems like an impossible task
It
for her to
does.
put on that muscle that quickly. I I do love the weird like relationships he has with the hammer and the axe though.
Mhm.
That was good. The
Mhm.
whole talking to the weapons throughout the movie
Yeah,
and
yeah.
him worried that he can't pick up Mjolnir anymore. I love all that. That was hilarious. And you see the Stormbreaker just like creep into the shots like like that stuff is hilarious.
Well, it
I
goes through the
love
whole
all
thing
that.
until the very end, where that he has to convince his own axe to not rip
Yes.
apart the universe. You
Yes.
know what I
I
mean?
love it.
Like,
I love it.
yeah,
The character
that was
in
good.
itself and yeah,
Mhm.
that's all Taika. Like he's so good with
Exactly.
making inanimate objects funny. Only he can do that. And I was worried too. I
Um,
was like, no, did he kill off his own character? No. And then he's just a
right.
bitch for a while. I was like, oh, okay. And then it's in the back of King Valkyrie, Tessa's head. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
riding
yeah.
around in the back of Tessa's head. Fun movie. Still fun.
After she shows up, we kind of understand that that Mjolnir, I never say the word out loud,
Just
is
in your head.
right is killing her basically. You know what I mean? She's giving up time, even
Yeah,
though to basically go out with a blast is sort of kind of her mentality. You know what I mean? Um,
it's a cool plot line that it's like
yeah,
it empowers
it
her, but
is.
it saps the life out of her. It's a
Right.
very interesting plot line. You don't put together initially. You're like, oh, it's saving her because like
Yeah,
now
yeah.
she's strong, and then when she doesn't have it though, it's like she's crippled.
Hmm.
She's completely crippled.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little defeatist because I guess
Hmm.
maybe she thinks that, it's kind of giving up, you know what I mean? But
Right.
then again, uh, it was a good excuse to have her be Thor. I remember when that comic
Yes.
came out, people
Yes.
were all like bitching and crying about it somehow.
Right.
If I remember, it wasn't originally just the idea of it wasn't
Right.
very well received. And then I don't know if the comic is any good, but it created I think, a good character. You know what I mean? That was good. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Actually, was her in that movie.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I like that they went into their relationship a little bit more because we never really get any side. We never really get any backstory about the relationship. We just assume that things didn't work out, but we actually get to see them here drift apart in a sense because
Hmm.
they have their own worlds. And how would you be able to date someone like Thor? You know what I mean? Who has to travel to universes to save, to fight and save
Right.
people. It's a very interesting. You don't ever get that dynamic, and it was cool to see in a montage, sort of their relationship deteriorate, and how they kind of blame each other for it, which I thought was really, it's pretty typical of a
Right.
of a failed relationship. But their chemistry here is great. I think it's the best it's ever been because the other movies it feels very forced. I don't know if you got that feeling. The Wars always felt like their relationship was a little awkward.
Yeah.
This is definitely you feel like they have really good banter and there's a lot more chemistry here, which I thought was, obviously it holds the movie together because it doesn't work without it.
Right.
And
Um,
it gives more weight to, you know, the sacrifices.
it's true. Um, I do like the fact that I liked the the battle where you first see her because she kind of she uses like a broken version of Mjolnir, you know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, it's awesome. It's
Which is
very cool.
a very cool idea, you know what I mean? The only thing that I realized was when it shows you underneath the glass the broken Mjolnir and things like that. And
Hmm.
I'm looking at going, oh yeah, obviously they can't move it. But here's the thing, it's up on like a pedestal.
Yeah.
So how did you put it on a pedestal?
It must be a magical pedestal. It must be a
I
pedestal that has imbued magical properties that
Yeah,
can withstand the might of Mjolnir.
yeah, that
Yeah,
one
that
kind of
makes
broke
sense.
me a little bit.
That makes sense. I get maybe can you pick it up if it's broken?
No, that's the point. It's still sitting there.
Right?
No one
Yeah,
else
because it was
could
like
touch it. No one else could
because it
lift
was
it.
like the grass it was on was with it, right? It was like they
Right.
lifted up the
It
whole
was
grass.
it was the ground. It was
So
on the
the
ground. The
Thor,
only way to
the
do it would be basically to take a tube and stick it and
yeah,
then move the whole continent down. Okay. That's
the
the only way
Thor.
you get there.
Maybe that's what they did. They built around it. They just elevated. They concreted everything else, and they dug out and they put a yeah, I don't know. That's a good point though.
No one brought it up on set. They're
That's
like,
a good point though.
this was Taika's
Okay,
idea.
how is
Just
this
shut up.
possible?
Shut up.
It doesn't need to make sense. Whatever.
It's
Jane's gonna
okay.
get it. It's fine. It's fine. I did like that it
Right.
broke apart though, and it could be used as
Mhm. That's what
multiple
I mean. That's
weapons,
what I mean. Yeah.
multiple
Yeah.
spikes or shotgun blasts. Basically, that was really
Basically like a
cool.
shotgun blast. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Very
very useful in that regard. It was great for clearing the mobs out. It was great.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's an area of effect
It's
damage.
great weapon.
Okay.
Great weapon.
um so they go and then they realize, okay, well, um after radioing to Axel in the movie, who by the way is Heimdall's son. A lot of children are in this movie, I guess. I don't know why they're
I
children.
guess.
I mean, I know. So the logic of Gore is because he lost a child to kidnap children to convince um, Thor to bring him uh, Stormbreaker,
Right.
right? Like
I
that's why
guess.
he's doing this,
Yeah, I guess that was the
right?
most logical way to get him to go wherever he needed him to go. He knew he would have a soft spot for the children.
So he takes a whole bunch of them, including Heimdall's son, who now is a big fan of the Guns N' Roses. Decides that apparently, I noticed that too. He was wearing a Guns N' Roses shirt at one point before he got picked up, and then later on he's wearing another Guns N' Roses shirt, and he has a Guns N' Roses thing, and of course we heard Guns N' Roses earlier in the movie. So he lets them know basically where they're at. They're in the Shadow Realm, and then the Shadow Realm is awesome. I really liked as soon as she realized that Stormbreaker was the key, she just fucking yeeted that motherfucker.
Oh, that was awesome. That
into
was really
space.
Cool. That
and
was
as
awesome.
soon as she did it, I clicked. I'm like, oh, that's smart. You know what I mean? They gave her the smart thing. The smart thing to do.
Because Thor is a dumbass most of the time. He doesn't think.
He would have sat there and tried.
He's
to
just all brute. Yeah. He's all brute,
then,
so he wouldn't have. She at least knew right away. She was like, "Nope, you did." Yeah, I love that moment. He's like, "Why did you do that? Why did you just throw my weapon 10,000 miles away?"
Still didn't figure it out. Yeah, that was good. I like that. That showed a lot of. That was a big part of that character actually, where it's like, well, obviously she would be the one to figure that out. Yeah. And then that's where kind of he started to go real bad. Gore looked like he had like big teeth at that point. He looked awesome. You know what I mean? I thought he was a really cool looking character.
He looked like he was turning into Emperor Palpatine.
Well, without a nose,
I mean, he's like almost unrecognizable as Christian Bale too. Like Christian Bale does a phenomenal job in this because we all know who he is, but he's such a good actor that like I'm just watching it. I'm like, yeah, it is Christian Bale, but it isn't Christian Bale because he plays it so well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I guess it's just a testament to Taika. He does such a good job of giving you all his backstory so quickly, establishing the motivation for him,
right?
Which was really good, because a lot of times we don't get that, and it's always been a weakness of Thor. The other Thors is like the villains never have like proper backstory screen time, and then you're just like, I don't care anything about this villain.
So
I don't know anything about this villain.
Other problem that the only real problem that I had from a story standpoint of the movie, and we'll get into more of it later as we get towards the end of the movie, but and I've read this about Marvel is that they kind of have like a bad guy problem where they don't ever want the bad guy to be a bad guy anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like, and everyone has to be redeemed and things like that.
Yeah,
that's kind of. I guess
Gore has the same issue.
Yeah. You feel bad for him at the end, even though he flat out just kills lots of people. You know what I mean? Like,
I was
you
gonna say,
lose
a lot
that
of innocent
ability
people
for people to understand you and your problems when it just resorts to you fucking freaking out and killing people.
Right. Right.
So, where were we? We were we
were talking about how Gore just gets to butcher a bunch of people and then get redeemed at the end.
Yes, that's right. Yes, we were.
Which I guess is the new Marvel Disney way going forward, is the bad guys have to be not that bad at the end of it all.
Right.
I mean, is he really redeemed? Is he? I don't know. I guess he doesn't ruin. I guess because what was he? Ultimately, he gets to have a wish, right? He gets to the wishing wall, whatever it is.
Yes.
He gets to have a wish. So I guess his wish was going to be kill all the gods. Kill everyone that's a god, and that was, it's like Thanos level power in a sense where he can just wish away, I guess, anybody that's a god. But what constitutes, which is an interesting thing to happen, I guess, because Thor would instantly die, huh?
Sure. As would Jane Foster, and as would a bunch of other gods.
Right.
The other problem that Gore had was if he brought back Love, he would die, which would leave her all alone. And I guess then assuming she would die, as opposed to like, wouldn't you then just bring your daughter back and then Like, I mean, it's the most sensible thing happened at the end for the character. You know what I mean? In this case,
Right. Well, and
but
they tease it a little bit because you get a little bit of Thor being like, I wouldn't mind maybe being a daddy one day. There's little hints of that
mhm.
uh throughout the film with him and Jane, and he's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind having a few of my own.
Right, right,
And
right.
then sure enough, it's like boom, instant
Instinct,
family for you, sir.
instinct. Right. Would it be
And
better if they just weren't babies? And then they could like eat on their
you
own
do get to skip
and not shit their pants.
you do get to skip a lot of the tougher stuff.
Right.
But when they're little, you do have a lot more control over them. Let's put it that way. You get to control where they go and what they do. So there's that. Even though they
Right.
crap themselves all the time and barf on you,
It's just like
you get to put them into a sleeping area. Once they're big enough, you don't know what they're doing.
they go everywhere. That's funny.
Then you're not sleeping at all because you wake up and they're right here. So there is that, but also she's like got these crazy powers, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't she?
yeah. So apparently she is after reading a little bit up on love, because I don't know anything about it before then.
You know
Um,
nothing about love, clearly.
I know nothing about it. I didn't even put on my wedding ring that I forget it. So no. It's not true.
But what a guy! What a guy!
Right. No, but apparently like she's really important. So definitely the last, I guess they're just kind of just setting up Thor 5, right? Because you got to do something with her.
The
And I guess
Adventures of
she's,
Love and Thunder.
yeah. And I guess I mean
Yeah,
obviously she's what's his face's daughter, so it's not like, she's going anywhere.
yeah, that's
Um
true.
damn it, sorry. All right, I'm getting distracted by my orange. I was hoping I could just eat
I
it
was gonna
without
say, what are
not
you
paying
doing?
attention.
Peeling that orange?
Yeah, I hate, well, this part fell apart. This can be in the show. I don't give a fuck.
Are you getting you're getting every little piece of skin off, aren't you?
That's what I'm doing. I can't stand
Perfect, the perfect
See?
orange peel. Yeah, that's a gross. You gotta
This
get
is
rid of all
all
that.
this has gotta go. Okay.
He's peeling off every tiny little
Mhm.
speck of extra skin on it.
Absolutely. None of the
Yeah,
other stuff.
it could be interesting to see Thor teamed up with a young goddess. I suppose it could be interesting. It would be a good change. It would be an interesting change for him, dynamic
Mhm.
wise, that he has to like be in charge of a child now.
Well, I'm sure that there's going to be something where that kid gets him in dire straits, or
Hmm.
he has to sacrifice her or something like that because she's going to destroy the universe. You know what I mean? Um, and with all the stuff that just came out at Disney, or at
I saw that. Yeah,
Comic
there's a
Con, there's so
huge dump
much.
of info for the future.
Right? They haven't really talked about Thor's future,
Mhm.
but there's so much shit going on. Like there's so much of it
How long do you
that
think
he'll
we're
be
gonna
like,
have Thor around for? Do you think he lasts past like the next phase, like 2025? I think is the end of this next phase. Do you think he makes it all the way through to like Secret War and
I think
everything
I th-
else?
hmm, I don't know. I mean,
Because if you think about it, the OGs have kind of gone away now. I mean, Hawk's still around. He's going to be in that She-Hulk show as a cameo, I guess, but
right.
he's not really a core character anymore per se. He's not getting his own films. So when you think about it, everybody else has kind of moved on from the originals, have kind of either died, moved on, or went to a different timeline.
Right. Well, yeah,
So
I
he's
think the
like the
whole different
last of the old
timeline
guard.
thing. Yeah.
Because we're getting Ironheart now, right? We're getting some really interesting
Hmm.
uh, side stories for characters, and the Black Panther. You see the Black Panther trailer?
Hmm.
That had me
Yeah.
pretty excited because I'm like, wait, who's playing Black Panther?
She's gonna be Black Panther.
That's what I thought too. It was like that looks like a small person in that Black Panther costume.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it said, "Look, Thor will return," so I'm
That's
sure that
true.
they have a plan for him. You know what I mean? And they didn't leave him in such a place where like he's going to stay forever. Like he's still out there adventuring. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So there's no sense of that this is the end at all,
Right.
which is okay. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm okay with
I,
it.
I'll see another one without a
Well, he's
doubt.
definitely his adventures have become a lot more lighthearted and fun. Uh,
Mhm.
and they do and that's why I was like excited because I do he does really line up very well with like Guardians when you think about like where the comedic aspect went, and that's why I was like really hoping for more between him and Peter Quill because I love that dialogue that they have, that little like heart to heart they have
Mhm.
spoiled in the teaser, and it's much better in the film, but
Right,
just
right,
that
right.
look they have where he's staring into his eyes and and Peter's trying to look past him and Thor keeps trying to meet his gaze like they're he's swaying to meet his gaze the whole time. And what are you doing? Nothing.
Yeah,
And it's honestly it's a testament to Chris Hemsworth because he's not just like originally I think we all thought that he's just dumb eye candy, and he's shown he has a lot more range than that.
yeah. I mean,
And there are certain
he basically plays complete different versions
yes,
of the same character. I mean,
right.
they are like night and day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it's from his cues that it's how you kind of experience the world. You know what I mean? If you experience it in that Thor now lighthearted way, it's better.
Well,
Definitely better than
and
the other first two. First two
honestly, I
suck.
thought yeah, I honestly
The
thought
first one's
the
not bad. The second one really isn't good.
no, no. Uh, I honestly thought the more serious moments in this film worked almost better than a lot of the comedy. You know, like the real heartfelt stuff. I think plays so well in this. Maybe because a lot of the film is so goofy
Hmm.
that like the Jane cancer stuff and uh, Thor actually like having a heart to heart. You know, and revealing his feelings because you don't get that a lot out of him.
Right.
He obviously got fat because he was depressed, but like it's all played as comedy. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that whole scene in Avengers, it's just comedy because he's, I do love the from dad bod to god bod uh, voiceover recap, which was hilarious. But yeah, I think the serious stuff in this film actually plays really well. Like it's done fantastically. Um, you know, so more of that,
Well,
Taika. More of that.
yes, 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 yes. I'm all for
Less
that.
complete goofy cartoon stuff. I'm okay with that, but tailor it down. That's all.
Right. Um, all right. Well, let's kind of end it there. We don't need a very long episode for Thor, Love and
Well,
Thunder.
people know what they're getting with Thor. I think with a Marvel
Yeah,
movies,
now
but
we do. The Just go over the end of the movie really fast. What one of the three ends of the movie. Um,
yeah, right.
um, they leave the door open for uh, her to come back because she ends up in Valhalla. But and Heimdall's there, of course, and so you can have
Created by
adventures
Heimdall.
in and yes, you can have
Adventures in
adventures
Valhalla.
in and out of Valhalla. You know what I mean? Just people constantly dying and then coming back and jumping in and out or something like that. Who knows? But
It'll
then
be a Disney Plus series.
yeah, that doubt. And then the end with Russell Crowe, who I gotta
He's
tell you,
awesome.
I thought he did a really bad Greek accent, but that's okay. That's me.
I thought he did too. I was thinking the same
I
thing. I
thought
was
it was
like,
such a
when he
bad
started
Greek
talking,
accent.
I was like, is he making fun of the accent? Like, is it, it felt like a farce. It felt like he was completely shitting on it.
I just don't think that anyone told him that it was bad. I think it was like a
I
Dick Van
think,
Dyke situation with Mary
I think
Poppins. It's like
I
no
think
one's
he's
saying
Russell.
anything.
Yeah, I think it's Russell Crowe, and it was like, well, it's Russell Crowe, so
But
just let him go. He's gonna get angry at us. He
right,
is
and it's
known to be
Russ.
he is known to be temperamental, so
Yes, he is.
I'm sure Taika was just like, yeah, let's just let him do his thing. That's just you know what? It'll be funny. Just let
Well,
him say whatever he wants
part of what I liked
because
about
it
it
does.
too.
It plays for comedy.
Yeah, it's like because Russell Crowe's got some pounds on him now.
Oh my
He's, you know
god,
what I mean. This isn't
he was
this isn't
huge.
This
He
isn't
looked like a
Zeus
blimp. Oh
from God of
no,
War. You know what I
no,
mean?
not at
Where,
all.
it's just a
No,
really old man, but he's jacked. Okay,
Zeus
this
let
was,
himself go here.
and he was so like cornball with the really, you know what I mean? The
Oh my
really
god,
light
he
lightning
was
bolt.
like
Like, of
dancing
course,
around. He was like dancing around, very effeminate. He was very, he's like he like curtsies like when he comes off the stairs and everything. Like, yeah, that was fun though.
all
When
that
he
he cared about
twirls
was the
the
orgy.
bolt. Yeah, where he twirls the bolt around.
hmm but
So
so
I guess
apparently,
but maybe he'll get in shape for the next one, and he'll be like angry Zeus, buff
right.
angry Zeus.
Um, but then, well, we already have buff angry. I guess Hercules is going after him now. So I guess that's what they'll do.
We got
They'll do him versus Hercules.
Roy Kent as Hercules, right?
I
From
don't I don't know who that is.
Ted Lasso.
Oh,
You
I
ever
didn't
watch
watch Ted Lasso. No, it's one of the
Ted
shows that I
Lasso?
want to watch.
Well, what's funny? Like that scene was spoiled for me because uh people were like, Roy Kent is in the movie, and I was like, what? Roy Kent's Hercules, and I was like, what? Who? Why is he? What is he doing? And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, somebody posted this already, and that's why it was spoiled for me.
Right.
But yeah, he plays like a real asshole in Ted Lasso. Like he's like the old, like needs to retire soccer player, football player, and
Oh, really?
he's got such a bad attitude through the whole series. Like he's the character that doesn't give a shit about anything. He's that guy, and I was like, that's an interesting choice for Hercules. That'll be fun.
Well, he doesn't say anything in the movie.
No, but I mean, he will, I'm sure, in the next one, wherever he shows up.
Right.
It's interesting that we're getting these crossovers now. Very interesting, and it makes
Yeah.
me
Well,
wonder, like, how the future looks for these series and how they fit
I
together.
mean, I think in the next 2 years, I think we're supposed to have, or 3 years, we're supposed to have Fantastic Four. You know
I
what I
saw
mean?
that. I saw that.
So I think you're
Do
going
we
to get
get?
a lot of that coming
Are we
in the
getting
future
John
to set everything up.
Krasinski? Are we getting John Krasinski as Reed Richards?
We wouldn't have to because uh, that was just another universe in,
Right. That's what I thought
you know
too.
what I mean? So you
That
wouldn't
was
necessarily
like,
have to.
here's your fan service. Goodbye to your fan service.
Right,
Here it is,
exactly.
and
You know
goodbye.
what I mean?
That's
Look,
and I am
that's
okay with that. I like
that's
that.
what I
Like
said. I'm
I'm
okay
a
breaking it. You
fan
got
of
to
that.
break it.
Yeah. I think it's fine because if you keep giving people exactly what they want, then when you don't do it, they're gonna be all pissy about it. So I'm
Right.
okay with that. I like that. I like, sure, you can have that. Now it's gone. Okay, now moving on to
Right.
the real one that we
Absolutely.
want, that we pick, that we've decided is the best. Yeah, I think it's too much pandering if you start doing it the other way.
Um, I think I've hit the limit though of the sheer amount that I can take. So much so that, and here's really what it is. Because now we're getting into the multiverse of it all, everything is going to be multiverse, this and that. It's going to get so convoluted and so much
That's
work and so much effort remembering all of it.
yes.
I'm close to giving up.
That's
And it has
Jackie.
nothing to do with this movie. Thor was good.
No, Jackie and I were talking about this the other day. Is like the issue I start to have with the multiverse is like things just stop mattering as much because you're right. The storylines are so twisted now that I mean, you really have to invest an incredible amount of time to keep up with these movies now. You're not going to be able to just jump in, at movie 6 of stage whatever. Be like, yeah, I can figure out what's going on here. The old
Right.
Avengers, you could kind of jump in and be like, okay, I'm catching up. This is person's this. Okay, I got it. I can get into
Right.
this. There's no way you'll be able to follow along if you jump in at
So
movie 5. You have to watch everything from what if to
what if?
whatever, whatever.
Right. Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? That's the issue I have, but I think it lessens the stakes a lot of times because it's like, well, there's always a possibility they come back in another multiverse and they could
Well,
just
right.
plot
So
whoever
I
from.
I kind of mentioned this because I was
We
looking
talked
for
about
the
Doctor
on
Strange.
the Doctor Strange thing.
Hmm.
So what I think will eventually happen, and it seems like that they're kind of going this way, they're going to go through Secret Wars, and then they're also going to do Avengers at the end of this whole big arc with Kang, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And the idea that you have to somehow separate what we know 616 from
Yes.
all the other universe. It has to.
Yes.
It's the
Yes.
only thing that makes sense.
It's true.
Either one is going to destroy the other or something like that. You have to, because eventually, once you're done with bringing multiverse into everything, you've now let it out of the bag, and now you can't stick it back in until you have a reason to take this universe and take it away from the other ones. Okay, it's the only way to stop this madness of constant expansion. Okay.
Have you read Secret Wars? Do you know what Secret Wars is?
All I know is it has something to do with um, what are usually bad scrolls, not in the MCU, but what are usually the bad guy scrolls replacing prominent people like on Earth and probably other races by the time we get to Secret Wars. That's basically what I know, and that's interesting, but I don't know anything about the story and what revolves around that. I don't know anything about that.
I mean, I just remember it being very convoluted because there's Avengers, New Avengers, Fantastic Four. It has so much stuff to do with like Apocalypse and other things. It's like there's a lot of work to be done with it. Let's put it that way. Like, you know, I don't know how that. I don't know how they're gonna bring it all together, but that's not my job, so I don't care. So,
well, that's it. I know.
There's just so much ground to cover still with it. That's the thing, because I'm pretty sure there's X-Men, there's Miles Morales, there's so much stuff that technically is tied to it, but they don't have
really
to.
They're really not running out of content. It's amazing.
No, not at all. Not at all. like you said, it just keeps expanding.
Bringing that thought back to Thor: Love and Thunder, Taika Waititi is supposed to be getting a trilogy.
That's what I was gonna. That's exactly what I was gonna.
Right. Did they get the question is, did they give him Rian Johnson's trilogy, and who wins in a fight, Rian Johnson or Taika Waititi?
Taika definitely does. He's scrappy. He's the Australian. I feel like he's like this scrappy guy. That's the thing. Are we still going to get Rian Johnson's trilogy? I kind of feel like we're not. I feel like they're just letting it die.
From what I understand, we are. Now, I think it might be one of those.
With Knives Out.
I think it's one of those development hell things. You know what I mean?
Well, he's got like a whole Knives Out thing, like however many films planned for Knives Out. So I wonder if he's just like
3. That's a lot, man.
I like Rian Johnson a lot too.
It's true.
I don't think people are ready for Rian Johnson Star Wars
they weren't.
And I loved Last Jedi, and I don't, and a lot of people. It's funny. A lot of people I went with at the time liked it too, but then it's like hive mind of the internet changed people's mindsets. But Taika, I think, is a good choice because he clearly can handle the intergalactic alien, colorful characters. He does that very well.
I think in the case of Taika, he's better playing in that sandbox because he did it with Thor. You know what I mean? They were just like, look, you can make all the aliens. You can make all the aliens you want. You can have funny if you want. You can have it colorful. You can do all these fun things, no problem. Rian Johnson's answer was, I want to break it. And again, as much as I'm okay with that, I think it actually does work better if you just leave it the way that it is. The problem is Star Wars has kind of jumped a little bit about how they like to do things. Midi-chlorians used to mean something. They don't mean anything anymore. Okay, things like that where it's like, well, all right. However, they're talking about Taika not doing a Skywalker thing, which would be cool.
I'm okay with it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Did you see the quote? Did you see the quote with him about Natalie Portman after they finished the project? He was like, "Hey, Natalie, you want to come work on Star Wars with me? You ever been in a Star Wars before?" She's like, "Well, I may have. If you remember, if you've seen the prequels, you may have seen a part or two with me in it." And he's like, "Oh, damn!
Oh, that's right.
I forgot you. I forgot you're kind of a big role. I only watched them once." And I was really high. Sorry. It's a conversation I imagine he had with her.
Right. Right. Or, and I have to finish with this, he was too busy having threesomes with what's her face.
He has been known to do that from time to time.
Yes, he has.
Was it
That's
Tessa
brilliant.
and
Yeah, Tessa
Amy?
Thompson and Rita Ora.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember there's those pictures where they're all like making out in public.
Yes. Yeah, that's a shame. I figured he wouldn't care that I mentioned that. If he ever, that's something that everyone knows, and quite frankly, should be proud
But I'm not
of.
hiring that guy. I'm not hiring that guy. He's a real prick. He's a real prick.
I thought it was funny. Um,
Taika is just living his best life, man. I bet
I
he's
know,
just
it's crazy.
wild guy to hang out with. He's like probably hard to keep up with because he's probably so like all over the place.
Probably. All right, so yeah, so let's finish this up here after we went on every tangent in the world.
Hey, this is what we do. This is
We
why
went to
people
Star
watch
Wars.
the show.
Yes,
They want
that
to
is.
be they want to be entertained by tangents.
Um,
Give the people what they want. Tangents.
yes, it's a conversation, sometimes about Thor. So yeah, so that was Thor: Love and Thunder. It didn't blow you away, but I actually thought it was
No,
really good.
it's still solid. It's entertaining. I
Right.
liked Ragnarok better, but
Mhm.
again, it's still vintage Taika,
Mhm.
and I do kind of feel like he was reeled in a little bit for this film because I feel like you can very clearly see where his stuff is, and then there are other parts where I kind of feel like it's a little bit assembly line Marvel. You know
Well,
what I mean? Like I definitely feel
that's
like they're
why I'm saying they must have the greatest second units. You know what I
uh-huh,
mean? Like
uh-huh.
such
That's what I was
awesome
thinking too.
second unit
That's
stuff.
what I was thinking too.
Jeez.
You could definitely feel a little
Um,
bit of a shift in certain scenes. So
yeah.
still enjoy it, still worth watching. It's very entertaining, fun soundtrack,
Mhm.
great. Jane Foster, a really good, I think, redemptive movie for Natalie
Yeah.
Portman as an actress and character. So I feel
Mhm.
like they redeem her character a lot because she's very throwaway in the other Thors. You could pretty much plug any other actress in there and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it's very true. Actually, having seen the first one again recently, um, not that she's bad in the movie, but it's like you
No,
don't need Natalie. You don't need Natalie
it's
Portman to do it.
it's irrelevant.
You know
Yeah,
what
it's
I mean?
irrelevant.
Right. Right.
She's just
It's
a
not
big name.
until
Yeah.
yeah, it really wasn't until this. Then again, her appearance in Avengers Endgame, you know, the cameo that she had in that, maybe. Um, but no, this was really good. I thought that really, as I said, the stuff between her and him are
Yes.
probably the best parts of the movie. Um,
Absolutely.
the action was cool. You know what I mean? It's good. It's not. I've seen bad action recently, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
just just how everything is better in a
Yeah.
Marvel movie.
Yes.
They always look good. In this case, I think a big part of it is Taika and letting him loose and doing what it is. It probably is a little bit toned down because I think that one of the things were like, don't go completely off the rails. You know what I mean? And then he brings out goats.
Yeah. And he's like, fine, screaming goats. And Thor
Screaming
gets naked. Thor's naked in this movie.
Right.
Yes.
They're like, well, we'll do one
Thor
or the
gets his
other.
clothes blown off. Well, apparently,
Right.
real quick before we get bumped off, there was a
Uh-huh.
big, this film was the impetus for the big VFX strike coming, where kind of the VFX artists were treated like shit. And apparently, this movie had a lot to do with it because Taika was apparently very
Really?
unhappy with a lot of the CG work in this film, and he expressed a lot of discontent for it. But they cited that like the deadlines were impossible to do some of the VFX work, so that's why there was like this big strike
Hmm.
coming for the VFX artists. I mean, the budget for this film was 250 million, so
Yeah. I
people are
mean, good
getting
God.
paid. People are
Yeah, they
getting
are.
paid, but yeah, I mean, the amount of VFX work I'm sure is astounding in this stuff. I mean, especially when you have that the gore stuff and the crazy
Yeah.
upside down universe, like some of that
Even
stuff is
just even
incredible looking.
especially just doing things like the where all of the gods are and stuff, just the sheer amount of artistry work that you have to do with every single one of those
Mhm.
things, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Creating the
yeah.
sets and doing all of that, like holy shit. Not to mention, I
Not to
mean,
mention Natalie Portman's biceps.
yes, I'm not kidding. Okay, I'm sure we
I
all,
think you're right. I
I'm
think
sure
you're
that she
right.
worked out quite a bit. I'm sure,
I
but
think
just
you're right because her
the
arms are
shape that was created with her,
disproportionate.
you know what I mean?
Disproportionate.
Like
Yeah. Like, it would have
she
to make sense too because she's so frail when she's getting her cancer treatments. And then
that's easy to do. Just
even
don't eat.
if you look at like the premiere photos with her in it, like her arms are not even close to that size at
That's
all.
what I
So
mean.
unless she
That's what I
just
mean.
stopped working out really quickly after they did this movie
Yeah,
and she just lost all that muscle mass, I
I
guess
know.
maybe
I'm
possibly,
never picking
but
up a weight again. You know what I mean? Like,
you're gonna CG these biceps on me.
right. And you can
We can
do
do
it.
that now. We
You
can
know
do
what I
that now.
mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
in a strange way, like, there's got to be. I'm sure that's kind of what basically they're doing with Avatar. You know what I mean? They're just CGing everybody and,
That's true. That's true.
you know, just creating digital doubles for everybody all the time. So much of it is that, you know what I mean? To the point where, like, I don't know.
We can have the best versions of ourselves now without ever leaving the couch.
It's true.
Just need my voice, that's all.
Yeah, and they don't even need that.
No,
The
that's
AI,
true.
that shit too. You
That's
know.
true.
All right. Well, another downer. Okay, no problem. All right, so yeah, here let's wrap it up finally after these all of these tangents. All right, so that was this edition of the Nerd Enthusiast Movie Podcast. Thank you guys very much for listening and or watching. Please make sure that you check us out on all of the social medias. Also, please check out patreon.com. Again, special thanks to Juan, our Patreon. Rhymes. Awesome. Thank you, Juan, for existing. Yeah, just so I can make the rhyme. Be sure to check out all of the other shows that we have. Our next movie podcast, I'm not sure what to watch. I don't know yet. I think
Maybe
the
Nope.
next,
Maybe Nope.
maybe Nope. We'll see. That's already out though. That just came out, didn't it? This week.
This
All
week
right.
came out.
I'm not gonna be able
Gotta
to
get
see
on
that
it.
for like another week. So
You gotta get on
that might have to be next month's edition, which is very timely of us. Okay.
it.
At least this is
Oh,
July, and
always
Thor came out in July, didn't it?
always
Right?
on time, never on time.
It's July. You got to give me the same month, right? Right. The same month is a reasonable time frame. Anyway,
One of these times we'll do the same day review. One of these times. We'll get there someday.
we'll just have to quit our jobs. That'll be the day. And
When
life.
Matt pays us, we'll do it. When Matt
Oh,
pays us,
stop
we'll do
that. Oh, stop that. Stop that.
it. Stop that. We don't need pay.
Hey, listen, but if Matt was able to pay me what I get paid now, I would quit my job and then watch movies all the time and live in
I
front
bet you would.
and
I
live
bet
in
you
front
would.
of the camera and just say, you know what I think about the
I know
Medicine
you.
Man
I
with
know
Sean
you
Connery,
would.
because
I
I'd
know
watch
you
all
would.
these movies. I would go all the way back.
Well,
all right.
Dane, you should go above and beyond without the pay.
It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, that was you better edit that out. Or don't, who cares? Anyway,
he loves us. He loves
yes,
us.
he does, of course.
As he curses
He
us.
hasn't sent me a text message this episode, so I'll probably see it next episode. Okay. But yeah, that was this month's episode of the Nerd Enthusiast Movie Podcast. We're ending. We have less than a minute. Say goodbye, Mike.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I was waiting for it to cut off. It never did.
Yeah.